Pros and cons of the 2023 Chevrolet Suburban Z71. The first pro is going to be ride and handling. You would be shocked at how well this vehicle manages its weight. This is an SUV that weighs between 5,800 to 6,000 pounds. And when you make everyday left-hand, right-hand turns, when you're accelerating, when you're braking, you don't feel any of that weight transfer taking place inside of the cabin. None of your occupants are being flipped and flopped all over the place. This SUV just remains neutral and balanced in everyday driving. And not just that, there's no weirdness with the suspension. It's not bouncy and jostling you around. There's nothing about this driving experience that's going to make anyone in the vehicle car sick. The SUV also absorbs small bumps, large bumps without an issue. 2021 was when these SUVs got fully redesigned like you see here, and they introduced that independent rear suspension. That's of course helping things out, but just the way they have everything tuned here is very impressive. You can get the optional air suspension and the magnetic dampers, but it's really not necessary. The standard suspension is absolutely excellent. The biggest and most obvious con with these Tahoes and Suburbans is obviously fuel economy, but you already knew that. You know, this 5.3 liter V8 that we have here, this is rated to get 15 mpg in the city, 19 out on the highway, and those numbers are pretty accurate. But the good thing about the 5.3 liter is you can put regular fuel in this. When you step up to the 6.2 liter V8, which I don't think is necessary, you're going to have to put premium fuel in the 6.2. There's also a diesel option that's rated to get 21 city, 27 out on the highway, but I think the V8 completes the character of these SUVs, and I appreciate GM for offering two V8s in this class when many vehicles have gone to a twin turbo V6. But fuel economy, definitely a con, but I feel like you already saw that coming. But the pro is going to be how smooth this drivetrain is. These engines are all mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You don't even feel the vehicle shifting at all. It's so smooth. It downshifts when you need to. Driving this, really, there's no cons with it. And regarding the refinement, it's an incredibly quiet machine. No real wind noise even out on the highway. In fact, the only real noise that you get when you drive this SUV is from the all-terrain tires, since this is the Z71 package. Don't get me wrong, it's not unbearable, it's not ridiculous. I just thought I would mention it. If you like the way the Z71 looks, go ahead, no problem, get it. But getting a more regular Suburban with the all-season tires, that would help to make this SUV even quieter. The interior space is both a pro and a con. The pro is the fact that it's put together pretty well. The doors feel really solid when you open and close them. It's extremely ergonomic because you have buttons and switches to access all your important functions, right? Like your climate control, heated seats, and various things like traction control, auto stop start, defeat, the 360 camera. All of these have their own physical button associated with it. I also like the gear shifting situation here, how they have buttons that you can either push or pull to engage whichever gear that you need. But the con is it's kind of a more plasticky situation here. It doesn't look very fancy in this interior space. There's nothing about this that screams quality, and I guess it's not supposed to because this is the Chevrolet, right? You would get the Escalade if you wanted that luxury. But my biggest con with this interior space is going to be with the infotainment. First of all, when you start up the vehicle, it takes a good 10 seconds for the infotainment to boot up, and that's okay. But once you're in the infotainment, when you click on certain menus, it takes a while for it to load up even still. So that's a bit annoying. But other than that, I do like how ergonomic this infotainment is. It's logically laid out, easy to use. Same thing with the gauge cluster. When you step up to the LT trim level and above, you get the larger screen as you see here, 10.2 inches, and the 12-inch digital gauge cluster. I really appreciate that. And the other massive pro with this Suburban in particular is, you know, it's the size of a small city, right? You can fit absolutely everyone and everything with no real problems. I'm 5'11", I can fit in all three of the rows. Of course, the first and the second row are the most comfortable, but the trunk in here is also massive, and that's one of the main reasons why you get it. You want to haul 7 people, and you're also hauling all of their things and their suitcases. You can do that here with the Suburban while towing a boat and riding in absolute comfort. So that's what sets the Tahoes and Suburbans apart. You also have acres of space in the armrest, in the glove box, even the door pockets offer good space, so I appreciate that. Another pro I forgot to mention regarding the drive is going to be just how manageable it is. This SUV feels half of its size. I kid you not. You forget that you're whipping a Suburban around. It's so easy to place it within its lane. Something about this SUV, it almost feels like it's got rear wheel steering or something. It's got a tight turning radius, feels like it's pivoting around corners. It's just so easy, and the visibility is excellent as well. There's just no stress in driving this SUV. In fact, you can just get in here for the first time and not have a problem whipping it around. Now, the cons with the size, it's obviously going to be fitting it in parking spaces. It's too long, it doesn't quite fit in a parking spot, and because of that, it's going to be difficult to park in a garage as well for most people. Another con with this SUV is the fact that you actually have to option in a lot of the important features. Even some of the safety features like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, they don't make that standard. Even on a 60K plus vehicle, I kind of find that unacceptable, especially with the safety. That should all be standard. And even when you step up to something like the high country, you still have to option in certain packages to get things like the hands-free driving assist or the cruise control that they have. That's an option, as well as four-corner air suspension. That's also an option even with the high country. I kind of find that ridiculous. Everything should be standard at that point when you go with the high country. And finally, I want to end off with this last pro. It's going to be the excellent resale value and the desirability of this SUV. Because it's so baller and you look like a government official when you whip this thing around, this is very desirable. And it's got a utilitarian purpose that only these SUVs can pull off. So you have excellent resale value with these Tahoes and the Suburbans. Now, hindsight is 2020. I'm just talking based off of the previous Tahoes and Suburbans. They tend to hold their value extremely well. So if you buy or lease one, you should have pretty good equity in these SUVs. Now, there's not really any good deals going on because, again, everybody wants one. So you're essentially going to be paying MSRP for this, and you're better off just paying cash or going with GM's low interest finance. That's probably the best way of getting these. But I feel like if you're shopping for this vehicle, you have the money and the means to be able to afford this, and you probably don't care. And if that's the case, go ahead and get it. This is an excellent product. The things that matter, this SUV does so well. It's an amazing driving experience. You're really gonna love it. And most importantly, you're gonna be extremely satisfied when you drive this. Hopefully, you found value with this content. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll have my next video on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.